Hi, I'm Rendy Poy Yee Teng, and this is my presentation to share with you more about taxation policies and their impacts. When a consumption tax is introduced, you can see from the diagram on the right that it causes the supply curve to shift left. This is because it creates a wedge between the price consumers pay and the price producers receive. This results in a decrease in the quantity of goods traded. Before the tax, consumer and producer surplus represents the total welfare derived from the market. After the tax, both surpluses decrease. The tax revenue collected by the government takes a portion of the original surpluses, but not all of it. The remaining unclaimed area, which is not part of the new consumer or producer surplus or the tax revenue. That is the deadweight loss. This deadweight loss represents the total loss in welfare due to the tax, as some mutually beneficial trades no longer occur. The purple shaded area in the diagram highlights the deadweight loss. In essence, consumption taxes distort the market equilibrium, leading to reduced welfare for both consumers and producers. The larger the elasticity of demand and supply, the larger the deadweight loss, indicating that taxes have a more significant impact on markets where either consumers or producers or both can easily change the quantity they want to buy or sell in response to price changes. A tariff on imports is essentially a tax on foreign goods. In the demand and supply diagram shown on the right, without a tariff, domestic consumers can purchase goods at the world price. When a tariff is introduced, the price of the imported good rises, leading domestic producers to supply more and domestic consumers to demand less. The difference between new demand and supply is the reduced quantity of imports. The government collects revenue from the tariff, but the market also experiences a deadweight loss, indicating a loss in total welfare. This deadweight loss arises because the tariff prevents some mutually beneficial trades from occurring. Hence, it is different from the deadweight loss in question 1, where government collects tax from the consumer and producer surpluses. In essence, while tariffs might protect domestic industries and generate revenue for the government, they also lead to inefficiencies and reduced welfare for the domestic economy. Next, tax policies can affect consumption and investment spending as well. Tax cuts for individuals will tend to increase consumption demand, while tax increases will tend to diminish it. Impact of consumption taxes on aggregate demand and aggregate supply is shown in the diagram. A consumption tax is a tax on the purchase of a good or service. This can lead to an increase in the pricing level of goods and services, making them more expensive for consumers. As a result, consumers might reduce their consumption, leading to a decrease in aggregate demand. On the supply side, producers might produce less because they anticipate lower sales due to the reduced consumption. This can lead to a leftward shift in the aggregate supply curve. The overall effect is a decrease in both aggregate demand and aggregate supply, leading to potential decreases in output and employment. Following, health taxes are taxes that aims at improving public health. While initially perceived as a deterrent to consumption, it can have significant long-term benefits for the economy. In the ADAS framework, the immediate impact might be a reduction in aggregate demand due to decreased consumption of the taxed goods. However, the long-term effects are more consequential for aggregate supply. As the health of the population improves, we can expect an enhancement in labor productivity. Healthier individuals are often more efficient, leading to increased output and a rightward shift in the LRAS curve. Furthermore, a reduction in health-related issues means fewer resources are allocated to healthcare, allowing for more investments in other sectors of the economy. Additionally, a healthier workforce implies reduced absenteeism and greater labor force participation. All these factors contribute to an increase in the potential output of the economy. In essence, while the immediate effects of a health-improving tax might seem negative, the long-term benefits, particularly on the supply side of the economy, can be substantial, promoting sustainable economic growth. So now let us understand the variables in DAG. Variables in the DAG are exposure variable, the implementation of the fat tax, outcomes variable, which are health outcomes, for example, obesity rates, health disease incidence, and economic indicators, for example, GDP growth, productivity. Next, the confounding variables are factors that might influence both the exposure and the outcome, such as public health campaigns, global economic trends, or changes in consumer preferences. Building the DAG, we draw a knot for the fat tax and connect it with arrows to health outcomes and economic indicators. This represents the hypothesized direct effect of the tax. We add knots for confounding variables and draw arrows to show their relationships with both the tax and the outcomes. This helps in identifying potential sources of bias. We can now use the econometric model, which has a directed acyclic graph, to provide a visual representation of the causal relationships between variables. When assessing the impact of a fat tax on health and economic growth, a DAG can help identify potential confounders and guide the econometric analysis. By representing the fat tax as the exposure variable and health economic outcomes as the outcome variable, the DAG can highlight the direct path of influence. However, real-world scenarios are complex, and other factors might affect both the implementation of the tax and the outcomes. These confounding variables, represented as additional knots in the DAG, we can then introduce bias if not accounted for. For example, a simultaneous public health campaign promoting healthy eating might influence health outcomes, making it appear as though the fat tax has a stronger effect than it truly does. By using the DAG to guide the construction of an empirical econometric model, researchers can control for these confounders, ensuring a more accurate assessment of the fat tax impact. In essence, DAGs serve as a roadmap for causal inference, helping to disentangle the intricate web of relationships in empirical research on policy interventions like the fat tax. So this is the end of my presentation. Thank you.